Right, let's talk more about scholar transport safety now with General Secretary of the National Association of School Governing Bodies, Matakanye. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. No light has been shed yet on what had actually happened in this particular instance, but of course, every time such events happen, it draws our attention back to the question of scholar transport safety. Monitoring of service providers, how are we doing? Are we constantly ensuring that there is compliance with the transport regulations?
Good evening, Thabo, and all your listeners, your viewers. Our deepest heartfelt condolences to the affected families, to the families generally, to the school, to the governing body, to our children as well, and the department as well. We really sorry that this really usually occurred to the young life, and you know it's very, very painful to lose the young life. However, the question that relates to the transport, we always remind the parents through the school governing bodies that ensure that you inspect any vehicle that carries your children. Ensure that the driver has the particulars that allow her to drive that vehicle. Then the second thing is that you must check the roadworthy of that vehicle. And if you find these two not really satisfactory, do not allow your children to get into that vehicle. Although we are also calling upon the schools, different schools, to work hand in glove with the parents so that these vehicles drop the children in school. We call upon the schools, the management, to ensure that now such vehicles, they don't carry our children. Because some of these accidents that are occurring, like for instance, the one that you've just asked, we learned that it was bumped from the back, and we don't know really. We'll only know after thorough investigation done by the department that who was wrong, was the driver of the vehicle that ferried the children, or the one that bumped. And these are questions that we are awaiting to get them, so that we continuously improve the scholar transport.
Yeah. Now, of course, you do mention that we are unclear as to what would have happened here. It could have been purely an accident at this particular point, or there could be something else at play. But we always have to resort to what are the standard practices in terms of policy. And it's always a question that's been asked, whether or not the distances that these scholar transport service providers are traveling is actually within the range that is allowed in policy. Some of the pupils sometimes travel distances that are outside of the allocated distances in terms of policy.
You see, the profit here is the room, the elephant in the room, the profit, because the stipulation, I mean, the question of the radius, the distance that has to be traveled, it is within the parameters of the regulations of the department. But you'll understand that the profit here is an elephant in the room, that a person will bypass those regulations and does all some of these things that you are mentioning, because they want to make more money at the expense of the law and all that. You know that these guys, these people, the service providers, they always look for money, and they at times do not comply with the regulations.
I mean, one could argue to say not just the transport service providers, but the entire ecosystem needs to have some kind of a conversation on an effective way to approach this, so that the demand on transport drops, so that the pupils themselves are within a radius that is localized and therefore would not need necessarily to be using transport at such an extent.
It is true, Thabo, that one, I think, element within the ecosystem is the provision of quality education, because there is this perception that some schools away from the children's homes provide quality education than the schools that are next to home. You see, we would not be seeing this type of things, because and these are things that are happening because these parents and the children are looking for quality education. But now we are saying, if really we can improve our schools must be improved and change even the mindset of the parents, that let's all of us improve the schools that are next to our home, so that we avoid this question of referring our children far for looking for quality education and all of it, because these things will forever occurring, whether there is law or, I mean, for instance, let me give you an example, classical example that you understand, Thabo, is that here are some the robots. The robots are red, then the robots, when they are red, they say stop. Then this person just passes and all this. So then it's worse when these children are ferrying all over them. So if then we can improve the quality education to all schools in our country, then I don't think this question of traveling, going far, looking for quality education, it will be any more an elephant in the room.
Matakanye, appreciate your time. General Secretary of the National Association of School Governing Bodies.